I am literally beyond fucking scared. I don't know what I'm aiming to achieve by posting here, but I know that I need some help, some advice, literally anything. My friends think I'm crazy. My mother thinks my mental health is spiraling, when in reality, I have never had any problems with my mental health. Quick background story. I'm 26, F, moved to US to be an au pair. I've been here for over a year now and had no problems. Moved into a new family now. They have a great family. Been here for 2 months already. Their house was built in 1957. Okay, so this started about a month ago. September 15th is when this all really kicked off, and now essentially every night since then. I wake up at about 3:30 almost every night, and I can hear pounding. Old house, maybe old pipes. But on September 15th, someone literally screamed, "Wake up," and I woke up at 3:30. The screaming, "Wake up" thing has happened twice more since then. I shut my closet door at night. It's a sliding closet, and in the morning it is open. I have a vanity mirror that you press to turn the light on. It has been on every morning when I know it's off at night. I bought a potted plant from Target last Friday, and this morning it was on the floor, and the soil was everywhere. I did not hear a single thing fall, and when I woke up in the dead of night, nothing was there. The other night after I woke up, I decided to go to the bathroom, and I fucking swear on everything I love. It was like my bedroom door was jammed, it wouldn't open. It doesn't have a fucking lock. I'm literally in tears writing this. Something in my head told me, get TF back to bed right now. And so I did, and for some weird reason I started singing to myself. Maybe to distract myself, IDK. That same song is popping up whenever I open YouTube or Apple Music. It's a lame song, nothing creepy El Mao, it's American Boy by Estelle. My mood is changing. I'm tired all the time, and I'm actually very high energy because of my chosen job, which entails running around after kids all day. I'm in a bad mood all the time. I'm getting angry so easily, which again, not in my characteristics. I feel the need to shut people out, but I'm trying to fight those urges. But anyone I speak to these days about this shit just thinks I'm insane. Someone please help me. Suggest something. Tell me I'm crazy and I'm not being haunted. Anything, please. In the spirit of the spooky season, I've decided to share one of the paranormal stories my mom used to tell me. To give you some context, I come from a Mexican-American background. Although I was born in the United States, my parents were born in Mexico and spent most of their early years there. Here's one of the many eerie tales my mom would recount from her own childhood. My mother grew up in the Mexican countryside, on a ranch where houses were scattered far apart, and nighttime brought pitch-black darkness due to the absence of streetlights. One day, she was walking to a party with her brother and sister in the early afternoon when it wasn't as dark yet. As they made their way through the remote area, my mom happened to glance up at the sky and noticed a mysterious light moving about. She kept this sighting to herself, knowing all too well that it was rumored to be a witch, a common belief in many parts of Mexico. They get to the party and enjoyed the party, momentarily forgetting about the odd sight. However, when the party ended around midnight, they began their journey back home through the now pitch-black countryside. Halfway there, the inexplicable light appeared in the sky once more, and this time, her siblings also saw it. They continued walking in silence, not daring to mention the eerie sight to one another. Then, out of the blue, my mom tripped and turned to look behind her, catching a fleeting glimpse of a mysterious lady. Almost instantaneously, the figure transformed into a glowing light and ascended into the sky. All of this happening in a matter of seconds. I can ask her more stories if y'all would like to hear. 2 years ago, my parents and I moved into our new house, and we live 0.5 kilometers from a retirement community. When we first moved in, we had a sick elderly neighbor. He was friendly enough. We didn't really experience much when we first moved in. You'd hear the odd creak of the floors, and the cats would stare off into corners or at the ceiling. I believe sometime during February or March, our neighbor passed away from kidney failure in his house, and no one found him for a couple days. I was coming home from work around 8 a.m., and I assume it was a family member at the house. I lay down for a while, and when I woke, the fire department, ambulance, and coroner were at the house. A few weeks after he passed, things started to amp up around the house. I started feeling like I was being watched. The cats stopped coming into my room. You could hear someone walking around, and sometimes it sounded like someone was talking in another room. Our cats often slept with my mom in her room with the door closed, so I can rule out the cats for some instances. Sometime during April, I was helping my mom clean the house, and we have a central vacuum cleaner. We had pulled the cord out of the plug and a hose from the wall, and our backs were turned, just her and I home. The vacuum starts up. We knew for 1,000% certainty there wasn't power to the vacuum. I had taken the vacuum downstairs to the closet. I came back upstairs and my room's door was closed, and my mom was in her room, white as a sheet. I asked her what was going on, she told me. She watched a 6FT plus shadow come out of my wall, so she closed my door and walked away. A few weeks later, my grandma told us she's seen the same black shadow move down the hall in the basement. There's been little instances since, like my foot leg being grabbed, something walking into my room, my door randomly opening and closing, the feeling of being watched and not alone. Until recently, my mom's heard things moving around in her closet. I was walking back from the bathroom and looked into the spare room on my way to my room and seen a tall black shadow standing against the wall. Saturday night, literally 2 days ago, my boyfriend and I were watching Sign. I said something about the alien and not showing it again. It was creepy, and my speaker beside my bed, which is not plugged in, randomly crackled through the speakers. My TV turned off, and my door opened all within 5 minutes. I've cleansed the house, put salt around windows and doors. I've told whatever it is that it needs to leave and not welcome in our house, but nothing's changed. 4 out of 5 people here have experienced something. I don't know what to do. I have been dealing with poltergeist-like activities for the last 5 years. Please read this, and if you have any knowledge on how I should go about getting this taken care of, or you know of anyone who might please share this. If any of you on here could help me with this, it would be life-changing. This has caused me extreme distress, and I would do anything to finally fix it. I started meditating about 5 years ago. I had done it before, but not as deep as I was going. I don't know if it was the technique or what, but the method I was doing was training me to go longer and longer without a single thought. It was simply sit down and feel your body. That was it. If you have a thought, let it go and focus on the feeling of your body. So longer and longer, I would go without a thought over the coming months. I did this for sleep. I've always had insomnia since I was in middle school, and it worked. I was finally beginning to get to sleep on my own. I usually had to take an OTC sleeping pill. But something started to happen the longer this would go on. Over time, and I swear this was real, and I'm not making this up, and it has caused me extreme distress. Over time, as I would meditate, I would start to hear sounds. The TV would start clicking, almost as if it would if it was cold and then got hot. Same with the knocks in the walls. The knocks would sound like an old house readjusting to different temperatures. That's what the sound sounded like. Okay, no big deal. Just a click in the TV or a creak in the walls. But the more I meditated, day after day, the more these sounds would pick up in activity, and I noticed that I wasn't hearing them when I wasn't meditating. Maybe once a day I would hear the sounds. So the sounds seemed to be related to my meditations themselves. But I kept meditating. It was weird, but it wasn't anything distressing. But as the days went by, I would put myself into such a deep state that when I heard a sound, I would jump out of my state real quick, like you would if somebody jump scared you. And they seemed to be getting louder. Around this time, a new phenomenon started happening. I started having involuntary movements. Now, when I was in that state of no thought, I had sound activity picking up to jump scare me, and now my arms and legs would randomly jerk. And again, it seemed to only happen when I meditated. And at first, the involuntary movement was light, but as time would go on, my arms, legs, and head would jerk more and more violently. And the weird thing was, all of this stuff would affect my meditation and immediately take me out of the state I had cultivated. But I kept meditating daily. The next thing that started happening was I would start to realize the knocks on the wall weren't the only sounds I was hearing. I was hearing furniture moving in the other room. And now this activity was not only happening when I meditated, but all the time when I was alone in my house. It got so bad one day, I was taking a shower, and I thought I heard someone break into my house. It sounded like somebody kicked my front door open. And I get out of the shower to look, and nothing. It got to the point where I was hearing all these noises all the time that I couldn't tell if someone else was in the house or not. Worst of all, the scariest part was, it would also pick up its activity when I would read. It would make a noise the exact time when I would get into the book, effectively preventing me from being able to read. It felt extremely creepy, like there was a ghost deliberately tormenting me that was able to tell when my mind would get into any sort of state. It felt like a conscious entity that was sent to torment me and prevent me from going any further or any deeper into a meditative state. It also seemed to purposefully try to make me feel like somebody was in the house when I was alone. There was an incident where I heard this super strange noise in the middle of my living room, and my cat jumped almost out of her skin. She got so spooked. This activity never happened when I had someone else in the house with me. This caused me so much despair and distress that I began to drink, as alcohol was the only thing that made it stop. It's been 5 years since all of that, and I am now sober for a month. First time being sober since this happened. When I started drinking because of all of this, I began to drink every night so I could sleep, and at least have a couple hours every day to be free from the torment. But I am ready to start practicing spirituality again and meditating. But I have to know what all of that activity and torment was all about. What it was, what caused it, and how to prevent it. Please, this is real. The scariest part about it that most people think it's not real. I experienced something that should be impossible. So I had no clue who to talk to about it, or how to solve it. I was very alone and trapped with this thing that shouldn't exist.